Hi everyone, welcome to the Internet Computer Zero to Dapp ICP Hackathon. So nice to see all of you join. GM, I hope you're all as excited as me for this launch event and for this hackathon. I am going to get started straight away. Please introduce yourselves in the chat, say hello, tell me how excited you are, what are you thinking of building, all that good stuff we want to know. So feel free to use the chat and just interact with each other. I'm going to get straight into it. So hello, my name is Clara, for those of you who haven't met me before. I am the program manager for this hackathon, which means that I will be your go-to person for anything that you need. So whether that is, where do I find the workshop recordings? How do I need technical advice, all that stuff, ask me, and I am more than happy to help you guys out. I'm always happy to be reached on email, Discord, Telegram. Happy to jump on a call as well, whatever you guys prefer. I am here to support you the whole way. One thing you can do as well is follow me on Twitter or X. We can connect on there as well. I'm always kind of posting updates about what I'm doing and just fun things. So feel free to give me a follow there. That would be really nice. To kind of kick things off, I'm just going to share a quick brief about Encode Club. We are hosting this hackathon in collaboration with ICP. So quick rundown about Encode Club if you haven't done one of our programs before. We are a Web3 and AI education community. So we help developers learn, build, and find their career path in all emerging tech. We do Educate series, which we did with ICP, a Zero to Dapp Educate series. If you are from the Educate series into this hackathon, please let me know in the chat. We also do hackathons, as you will be able to tell. We also run accelerators, boot camps, and we do recruitment. So if any of these things sound interesting to you, you can always reach out and we can have a chat about how we can support you at Encode Club. This hackathon, more specifically, is the Zero to Dapp Hackathon, which will be running for 4 weeks, and it will be centered around decentralized apps with ICP as our sponsor. The Internet Computer Dfinity is our title sponsor and the main people who have been making all of this possible. So give them a shout out. Tell us in the chat what you like about ICP and what your experience with it is so far. Is this your first time building on ICP? Is this your favorite ecosystem that you've always been building on for ages? Let us know in the chat. Some words of encouragement from Eomji, who is joining the stage as we speak, who's our head of research and operations at Encode Club. Hi, Eomji.
So hello, everyone. Very good to see you this evening, depending on where you're based. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I see some excitement there, especially some hackers, like we met even in person, talking about what kind of workshop they want. This is such excitement. Every hackathon starting is so amazing. And this time we are so back with ICP team together making Zero to Dapp Hackathon. So this time you're going to have great opportunity to learn all the newest updates of the ICP ecosystem. Some of you perhaps already follow the Zero to Dapp Educate series. If you're not, and if you're curious, well, please check all the recordings and try to follow even some homeworks, because it's really fun to see what kind of features has been added recently, and you can learn what kind of use cases are there and what you can build further using those features. And also I see that like someone was already mentioning like a CKE, like such as yes, right, Toniq Computer like he recently announced all the if related like different features you are very excited about. You will get some updates here. We prepared like amazing bounties which can be also shared soon, which bounties can be followed by amazing workshops and mentors who are going to be next to you, holding your hands and moving forward. So over the course of next few weeks, you will have amazing opportunity to get to know each other so that you will have a fellow hackers who can hack together, learn new technology, really, really new, because some of them just got launched right before this hackathon, and collaborate with hackers, but not only hackers around, but also our partners, mentors who are there, just a few steps ahead of you because they just launched a new product, new features. They want to have like, amazing feedback from you, perhaps like working with you. Some of your ideas going to be perhaps like implemented in their next wave of updates. So don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone, try something new, and also bring it up if something doesn't work, or if something you are particularly interested in, you couldn't find a feature. You never know. Maybe that feature you bring it up is something what we exactly needed, and you will be next killer app in ICP. So remember that the knowledge and the skill you're going to gain during this hackathon can be applied not only to your project, but a lot of like future opportunities ahead of you. Some of you will become an entrepreneur in ICP ecosystem. Some of you perhaps going to be working at some projects there. Some of you going to be staying as like an open source contributor and be active member in the ecosystem. But all those things are going to bring some fruits in the end. And we are very excited to see those people who are keep coming back, try to learn and pushing the edge together. So yes, like I am very excited to see all of you, what you're going to be building. I saw that on Twitter, some people start to write about they're interested in XYZ project. So feel free to share more about that. And yes, like keep your excitement, and I am looking forward to your project very much.
Thank you, Eomji. So nice to hear from you. And yeah, I'm really, really happy to see all of you guys interact in the chat. For all of you who are beginners, you're more than welcome. For all of you who don't know what you're building yet, that's also completely fine. Don't worry about it. We will be there with you each step of the way. So we will figure it out together, and I'm sure there'll be some really, really cool things being built this hack. Now we are going to invite Moritz to the stage, who is the developer relations engineer at Dfinity. So everyone say hi to Moritz, who will be just saying a few words of encouragement as well. Here he is now. Hi, how are you?
Great. Yeah, just a couple of minutes from me. My name is Moritz. I'm a developer relations engineer at Dfinity. And some of you might know me from the Zero to Dapp Educate series that has been mentioned a couple of times now already, and that we launched a couple of weeks ago, I think. If you haven't seen that one already, I really want to encourage you to maybe binge watch it before the hackathon starts today. You can see it on Encode Club's YouTube channel, and this will well prepare you for this hackathon, as it gives you the perfect foundation to understand the IC and also its unique features and possibilities. And regarding this hackathon, while we had Bitcoin tracks in the past, this is actually the first hackathon with an Ethereum track. And that change reflects the ongoing progress in our work to directly integrate with Ethereum, just as we did with Bitcoin. So for those of you that don't know, the Ethereum integration basically allows canisters on the Internet computer to directly interact with the Ethereum network without any bridges or intermediaries. So pretty cool stuff in my opinion. And here over the past couple of months, we made really, really great progress. As already mentioned, we launched CK-ETH, which is basically the same thing as CK-BTC. Maybe you haven't heard about it. After the events in the coming days or weeks, you'll probably have a better understanding of that. And yeah, for developers, we also worked on the developer experience. So we are providing tools like the ICETH RPC and also the ICETH starter repository. Here, I'm sure that Ben, my colleague, will talk about this in his upcoming ICP X EVM workshop this Thursday. And yeah, I also just want to quickly take the opportunity to announce our new hackathon prep tutorial that was actually launched today, a couple of hours ago, just in time for the kickoff of this hackathon. And you can find it in the tutorial section of our documentation on docs.internetcomputer.org, and also in the developer resources section of the hackathon Notion page that Encode is probably going to distribute to participants maybe today or tomorrow. Yeah, with that, best wishes and good luck to all the participants. I'm already extremely excited to review the submissions at the end of the hackathon in February or end of February. And I'm also very, very excited to see what everyone is going to build. I'm also going to hang out throughout the event here. So if you have any questions or feedback or something, yeah, I'll be in the chat and try to answer them while this event continues. Yeah, that's it basically. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Moritz. Thank you so much. Nice to have you in the chat. And regarding the Notion page that Moritz mentioned, you should have all received it. It's called a Hacker Pack. We sent that out to you when you register for this hackathon. So, and my colleague Angela has also just linked it now in the links section. So you can find the Hacker Pack there. It's basically your go-to resource. There's a bunch of resources in there, information about the bounties, important deadlines, FAQs, all that stuff. So if you have any questions, go to the Hacker Pack. If it's not there, then let me know and I will be able to help you. But chances are it will be in there. So thank you, Moritz, and I'll see you very soon again. Now, moving on to some more specific details. What is going to happen during the upcoming 4 weeks? The first thing you want to do, obviously, is register. If you haven't already, please sign up and register for this hack. That just ensures that you receive all the information that you should be having, including the Hacker Pack, for example, but also my contact details and kind of insider info and all the support that is available to you. So please register if you haven't already. You can do so on the Encode Club ICP website, which will be linked in the chat very soon. The next step is to form a team if you want to. I've already seen that there have been some questions in the chat about can I participate solo? And yes, you can. If you want to participate solo, that is absolutely fine. You're more than welcome to do so. If you want to enter with the team that you already created before, that is also more than welcome. If you want to form a team throughout the hackathon, we can also do that. So kind of all the solutions are available to you, whatever you prefer. If you want to form a team, we actually have a team formation dashboard where you can basically fill out a form that says, this is what I'm interested in building, or you can say, I don't know what I want to build yet. And then you explain kind of a bit about your background and what you're looking for in a teammate, and you will show up on a beautiful dashboard where you can see everyone else who is also looking for teammates, and you'll be able to contact them directly. My colleague Angela has kindly linked that as well. So please check it out if you're interested in forming a team. Also, feel free to reach out to me and I can help a little bit extra there as well. The other thing is to attend workshops. We have some amazing workshops coming up this week and next, which I will be talking about more just in a second. But that is just a great way for you to get your all the knowledge that you need to build the best project possible. As Moritz mentioned, there was also an Educate series that we did very, very recently that is super, super useful. So I'm going to send it in the chat again now. And like Moritz said, it's a great binge watch. So if you've already seen everything on Netflix, that is your next thing to explore, I'd say. And then the next thing to do is obviously to build your project. Now, like I said, there will be technical support available for you as well on the Discord server. You're more than welcome to pop any questions in the dedicated ICP Hackathon section, and we will make sure that you get all the help that you need. You will get one-on-one mentorship from me if you want it. I'm more than happy to kind of speak to you guys regularly. I will be checking in to make sure everything is going smoothly. And depending on your preferences, we can have regular calls or just emails or whatever you prefer. Then the final thing is obviously to submit. And then we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that you all do really, really well. So that is the basic rundown of what's going to happen. There will be a bunch of support available to you. I've already mentioned, but there will be workshops, technical support. There is a big Encode Club and ICP Discord community where you can also receive one-on-one support. Now, for one of the really, really exciting parts, I've already seen some people in the chat asking about the bounty tracks and prizes. These have already been published on the website and on social media and all that stuff, but we're going to run through them quickly again, just to kind of get you guys even more excited and pump up the motivation a little bit more. So the first track that we have is the awesome ICP track. The first place winner here will get a 25K developer grant, and the second place winner will get a 5K developer grant. The first milestone prize for the first place winner will be 5,000 USD in ICP, and that will be paid as a winner prize. And the rest of the 20,000 USD in ICP will be paid accordingly throughout the grant journey. Similarly, for the second place winner, the first milestone prize of 2,500 USD in ICP will be paid as winner prize, and the rest of the 2,500 will be paid accordingly throughout the grant journey. Within this track, there are two sort of extra prizes that you can go for. You can go for best use case of Juno, which is really, really exciting. And if you haven't checked it out before, I really recommend you look into Juno. It's an open source blockchain as a service platform, which kind of means that you can focus solely on the front end and letting Juno do a lot of the back end work. I'm going to send the docs for Juno here in the chat if you want to check it out already now. There will also be a workshop about Juno this week. We also have a newbie bounty. So like I said, beginners are more than welcome during this hackathon, and there's actually a dedicated prize for all of you. So please do get in touch with me if you're interested in the newbie bounty, and we can discuss. So yeah, that is the first track. Let me know in the chat if anyone is going for this track. I'd be very excited to hear your thoughts. The second track is ICP BTC track, which, as you might be able to tell from the name, is all about ICP's integration with Bitcoin. The prizes here are the same as for track one and have the same structure. So really good long-term sort of investment from the ICP team in these winners, which is super amazing and quite unique, I think, actually. So it's not just a hackathon prize, it's actually a long-term sort of project that you can really take further than just a hackathon project, which I think is really exciting. So let me know if anyone is interested in the ICP BTC track as well. I already see people interested in Juno. which is great. The third track is perhaps the most exciting one because it's recently announced, which is the ICP and Ethereum integration. Here, there's a lot of exploring to do. It's very new, so you have like the whole, a world of options in front of you of what to build, what you can do. You can really let your creativity just flow freely. And I'm super, super excited personally to see what is being built on this track. And Matthias, I can see that you're interested in all the tracks. You can actually do 3 projects if you want, or you can try and integrate all 3 tracks into one project. That is absolutely fine as well. And I would be very impressed to see someone do that. So Matthias, I dare you to do that. That would be very cool. Now, some FAQs, common questions. First thing, who can take part? Anyone. Like I said, if you're a beginner, if you're more experienced, you're more than welcome. We are happy to support anyone and whatever it is that you want to build or whatever type of support you need, I'm sure that we can help you. Where can you find other resources? Like I said, the Hacker Pack go-to place. Check it out if you haven't already. Do you need a team? No. Like I said, we can help you find teammates, or you can build solo. There will be technical support, and most of the communication and organization, important updates will happen on Discord. So if you haven't joined the Discord server yet, please do. Once you've joined the Encode Club Discord server, you navigate to roles in the top left section, and then you select the ICP Hackathon. Also, do join the ICP community Discord server, developer community Discord server, which is very, very helpful for technical inquiries and also just for meeting other people building on ICP. You can enter an existing project. However, the only part of the project that will actually be judged for this hackathon is the part of the project that you built during these 4 weeks. So you have to have introduced a significant feature improvement. If anyone has any questions about this, feel free to pop them in the chat, or like I said, message me later and send me any follow-up questions that you have. Now, for some key dates. Obviously, right now, launch event. A very, very exciting thing that will be happening in just about 5 minutes or so is actually our first workshop, where we'll be hearing from Bob from Toniq Labs, who will be talking about building cross-chain applications on ICP. So please stay tuned for that. We're kicking it off straight away. So this week and next week will be workshops mainly. Obviously, if you already know what you want to do and you want to start building straight away, go for it. But if you're not quite sure yet, hopefully you'll be able to find some great inspiration during the workshops. Sunday, the 11th of February is the submission deadline. So please make sure to submit by then. The deadline is midnight, your local time zone. So before then, make sure to submit before then. Tuesday, February the 27th will be the finale and prize giving. This will also be held online, and we will be hearing from some of the teams who have built projects. We'll hear from the ICP team and the Encode team and everything. And it's going to be really, really exciting. So make sure you mark that down in your calendars as well. For this week, we have a workshop tomorrow as well, which is all about building Web3 dApps like Web2. So if you're interested in Juno, please join this workshop tomorrow. It will be at 4 p.m. GMT. Please prepare by checking out the all pre-recorded lecture that's on YouTube. It will be sent in the chat shortly. Please also send any questions that you have in advance. So just scan this QR code and submit any questions that you have about Juno there, and our wonderful speaker will be able to answer them tomorrow. Then we have more workshops this week. On Thursday, we have a workshop on the ICP EVM integration. So that will be really exciting. And then next week on Tuesday, the 23rd of January at 4 p.m., we will be hearing from a hackathon success story. So kind of explaining a little bit about what options are there within the ICP ecosystem. How does the ICP team support projects that do well in their hackathons? So make sure to join all of those. All the workshops are recorded as well, so if you can't make it, you can always catch up later. But if you can make it live, that is obviously the best, because then you can ask questions and you can interact with people. So the next steps: join Discord, find teammates. You can use Discord for that as well, but I've also gone through how you can do it otherwise. Join the workshops and build your project. Pretty straightforward. I can see now that you need permission to use the form from the QR code. Okay, I am going to look into that, and I will hopefully solve it straight away. If you have a question already, feel free to message me on Discord already now. DM me. I've sent my handle in the chat, and you can just send me the question directly as well so that you don't forget it. Yes, like I said, feel free to DM me any inquiries that you have. I'm happy to help. The final thing that I want to do is I just want to invite Moritz and maybe Eomji to the stage again, just so that we can take a nice photo, and I will share it on my Twitter. So you can go in there and give it a like and retweet and whatever you want to do. Moritz, are you ready for a big, big smile?
Definitely.
Okay, great. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Amazing. I'm sure that will look great. That was kind of it from me. Moritz, do you have any final words of encouragement?
Of encouragement, yes. I wish everyone, like I said already, the best of luck. And I'm really, really excited, like I said already, for this new Ethereum track that we have right now. So I think with the Ethereum integration, you can build a lot of really, really cool things. So I encourage everyone to maybe not only build on top of CKETH or CKBTC, which basically for developers ends up being the same thing, because both those tokens follow the same token standard, but really try to understand how the Bitcoin integration or the Ethereum integration work. We have great content for that out there, and try to directly build on top of that instead of building on top of the CK tokens. I personally think that's more exciting, but of course it's also more challenging, and maybe if you're a newcomer, not the easiest thing to do. But if you manage to build something on top of the direct integrations, then you can be extremely proud of yourself. Of course, you can also be extremely proud of yourself if you build on top of the CK tokens. But still, I would be very excited to see someone build on top of the Bitcoin integration directly. That would be my dream.
Well, everyone tried to make more streams come true.
Yes.
I would be very excited to see that as well. That would be really cool. So now the final thing that we have is our workshop. So please stick around, and we will be getting into the learning straight away. So I'm going to welcome Bob to the stage from Toniq Labs, who will be talking about how to build cross-chain applications on ICP. As we wait for Bob to join the stage, please let me know where everyone is tuning in from. I'm always love to see all the different flags, all the different countries that people are from. I find it super fascinating. Right now, I am in London. Where are you, Bob? Hi, Bob. Oh, you disappeared again.
Sorry, just figuring out final tweaks here.
No worries.
Utah, USA.
Utah, USA. And Moritz, whereabouts are you?
I'm in Berlin, in Germany.
Berlin, very nice. I see that there's someone in the chat as well from Mars, which is very exciting.
Oh, and I just saw a fellow Berliner in the chat as well.
Nice. And now we can see Bob again. Bob, how are you?
Yeah, good. Happy to be here.
Good. We're happy to have you. I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to let you kick off your workshop. So feel free to kind of get started whenever you're ready.
Is it possible to enable polls?
I
just see it as an option in the bottom right. I'm wondering if I can create one or if that's beyond the scope of my permissions.
If it says add poll, let me see. Maybe if you want to do a poll, maybe you can just ask the question. People will answer in the chat.
Yeah, okay. Not quite as fancy, but yeah.
Not quite as fancy. I will try to tally up the replies for you.
It's okay. And there's no way to view participants or anything like that.
There's no what? Sorry?
Oh, no way to view participants, like to view participants with emoji reactions or anything like that. I'm just getting a sense for the interactivity possibilities I have.
There's no way that we can view the participants, but you can always ask for replies in the chat, or for people to submit questions in the questions tab as well, and interact with people that way.
Can everyone hear me okay? Is my mic coming through all right?
Yep, you sound good.
Okay, awesome.
And you have a beautiful t-shirt. I love it.
Yes, I'm sporting my Dfinity t-shirt. I'm also sporting the Very Good Bitcoin Club hat. So awesome. I got all the swag going today.
We need to get you some Encode Club merch.
Yeah, Encode Club merch, exactly. Yeah. Yes, please send. Would love to wear it.
Awesome.
Okay, yeah, I'll just jump right in. For the audience, just so you know, I really like interactive presentations. I really like to hear from the audience. I like to hear what questions you have. I want to hear what kinds of things you want to build. I like to go off on, crazy brainstorming, cool ideas for things that you can build. And so if you have questions, throw them in the chat and I'll try to get through them all. I want this to be really interactive. I don't want, me to just be sitting here, just spamming you with words. I really want to hear about what you want to hear about. And we can go in lots of different directions. So I'll do a kind of an initial overview presentation, and then, we can dive in wherever you want. First, I'm pretty sure Dfinity has an ICP store. Let me just drop it in the chat here. shop.dfinity.org. They have all sorts of things. So if you want hard goods, soft goods, merch, all kinds of ICP stuff. Oh, good. I do see some floating emojis when people react. So we do have a little bit of interactivity there. Okay, I want to know in the chat, are you more interested in building on Ethereum on ICP or on Bitcoin on ICP? This is like a Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Just drop it in the chat, ETH or BTC. I'm curious what people are thinking about. We could pick an emoji for each. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Okay, React. Let's do Ethereum is going to be the party explosion confetti, and Bitcoin is going to be the heart eyes. So heart eyes versus
You know, Bob, what I've just gotten note of is that I can actually add a poll for you. So if you let me know what you want in the poll, I can make people reply if you want.
Yeah, well, let's do a BTC versus ETH poll.
Okay, BTC versus ETH.
Just curious, this is all in the context of ICP, so building on ICP, but I'm curious where people are leaning right now. I know the Ethereum integration is newer, more recently released. Bitcoin integration has been around for a little bit longer. So yeah, everyone go to the polls and then put in your vote, BTC versus ETH. While you're doing that, I'm going to give you a brief overview of some of the work that I've been doing on the Bitcoin integration side. And then can talk a little bit about the Bitcoin ecosystem, and then we can branch over into the Ethereum ecosystem as well, if that's interesting. So if you don't know, I'm Bob Bodily, CEO of Bionic. Bionic is in Bitcoin, Ordinals, Marketplace, and Launchpad. Marketplace was released, it's been about a month and a half. Is that true? A month. It's been just over a month. And then we have our Launchpad coming out here in the next week or two. So we're very excited about that. We, we built Bionic 100% on ICP. So what that means is we take ordinals. Just to briefly explain what ordinals are Bitcoin, where you've actually tracked the specific sats. A sat, there are 100 million sats in one BTC. It's the smallest indivisible unit of Bitcoin. And you can actually store an image directly on Bitcoin and associate it with a particular Satoshi. And then you can trade that Satoshi, and it becomes, it's essentially a non-fungible Satoshi at that point, which is what an ordinal is. So ordinals, if you haven't been following along, have gone absolutely crazy in the last year. Let me just grab this, share my screen. This is a Dune dashboard of Ordinals Marketplace volume. You can see it's almost $2 billion in volume over the last year. You can see top players here. You know, we had a spike. This doesn't look like a spike now, but there was a spike back in February, March of last year. And then we had another one over the summer, May, June, July, and then, you know, the current one, which is obviously a lot bigger. So tons and tons of volume in the ordinal space and lots of different players. Marketplaces, tons of users. You can see, you know, hundreds of thousands of users here in the ordinal space. So ordinals have had tons of traction, and it's essentially NFTs on Bitcoin, except that you have 100% on-chain storage. This is something we're all familiar with in building on ICP, because ICP also offers 100% on-chain storage. So people store their image on Bitcoin, and they have the token on Bitcoin. And then what we're doing with Bionic, let me just give you a this is Bionic. You essentially have a built-in wallet here in Bionic. This is a fully featured Bitcoin wallet, as well as a fully featured CKBTC wallet, just built in here on the sidebar. So you can hold Bitcoin here, you can receive Bitcoin, you can send Bitcoin, and you can also receive and send CKBTC. You can see down here, you can easily convert between Bitcoin and CKBTC, and then you can also hold, let's see, you can also hold ordinals. So these are, you can see, this was one of our test inscriptions. This was inscription number almost 45 million, just shy of 45 million. You can see it has a owner, and a date for when it was inscribed. And under more information, you get more information around details for that particular inscription. So what the transaction was, what the inscription ID is, what Bitcoin block it was inscribed at. So you can also hold ordinals. You can hold ordinals natively on Bitcoin. You can receive and send them. You can also wrap ordinals. So if you look here, this is actually a good example of a wrapped ordinal where this is a little piece of Bitcoin, like I said before, a single Satoshi that's been put into a ordinals wrapper canister. And then from there, we now have a token that trades on the ICP side. And the token that trades on the ICP side can now be traded at the cost and speed of ICP rather than the speed and cost of Bitcoin. So this is an ordinal. We could list it just for the sake of maybe that's 2. I don't actually want someone to buy this. We'll say 0.01. We can confirm the listing. And this is essentially an ICP. It's like an ICP NFT. You've essentially bridged over. And so then we just listed this on the marketplace. So Bionic works at the speed and cost of ICP because we wrap everything over to the ICP side. You wrap your Bitcoin over to CKBTC, you wrap your ordinals over to, you could call it CK ordinals. And then you can trade everything really, really fast on Bionic. So this is what we've been building. We've been building it since March of last year. So we've been going 10 months now, 11 months. It's been a long time. But we have everything up. Launchpad will similarly be very, very fast because we're building on ICP. So you'll be able to purchase from a Launchpad very quickly, trade on the marketplace very quickly. And then if you ever want to, you can unwrap back to Bitcoin. I also wanted to show you here in the inscriptions, these are the latest things that people are putting on Bitcoin. So we have an Explorer in here. You'll notice that there are all of these JSON objects. These JSON objects are fungible tokens. So people are doing DeFi on Bitcoin. You can see that this is a BRC20. I don't know if you can actually see that. It might be too small. Let me bring that up a little bit bigger here. This is a BRC20 inscription. So this is the most successful fungible token standard on Bitcoin of all time. It's called BRC20. Essentially, you have this JSON object, and you can have these are operations. You can deploy tokens, you can mint tokens, you can transfer tokens, and BRC20s have had hundreds of millions of volume as well over the last year. So from a Bitcoin DeFi perspective, there are tons of opportunities if anyone's interested. BRC20 is one standard, but another standard is ORC Cash. Another standard is Atomicals. Another one is Tap. Another one is Pipe. Another one is BRC100. There were probably like a dozen or so rising protocols, fungible token protocols on Bitcoin. And these could all be used in interesting ways on ICP. For example, you could imagine building a really fast DEX for these tokens, these Bitcoin DeFi tokens. You would essentially bridge them over to ICP, bridge them over to something like an ICRC2 token standard, and then you could build a DEX on ICP that would be a fast way to trade these fungible tokens. That's one particular example that would be pretty cool to build, because right now trading these tokens on Bitcoin, it's very slow. You get a Bitcoin block every 10 minutes on average, but it could be 1 minute or it could be 2 hours. We've seen everything in between. And it's also like we've seen really, really high Bitcoin fees over the last year or so. And so bridging over to ICP gives you all the benefits of building on a Bitcoin sidechain. You get the speed of ICP, you get the reverse gas model on ICP, you get the low fee transactions, etc. So this is what we've been doing. I did want to just jump in on this. I don't know if this is going to load. Let me try and refresh one more time. These are all of the meta protocols that people are building on Bitcoin. If you look right here, you can see this huge list. And I don't know if it's actually going to scroll because there are too many for it to. But yeah, I'll drop this in the chat. This is essentially a really nice way to view all of the crazy meta protocol tokens that people have been deploying on Bitcoin. So there's tons of opportunity, more now than ever before. Okay, yeah, that Dune dashboard dies very frequently. But there's more opportunity now than ever before to build on Bitcoin. It's a blue ocean opportunity, less competition, exciting. People are doing DeFi, people are doing DAOs, people are doing NFTs. Basically anything you can do anywhere else, people are now bringing it to Bitcoin. But because Bitcoin doesn't have smart contracts, you have kind of all of these kind of poor user experience applications, not unilaterally bad UX, but I think building on ICP is an advantage in that you can really take advantage of the benefits of both chains. I always call ICP and Bitcoin like peanut butter and chocolate, or peanut butter and jelly, or whatever your favorite food combos are, because they just go so well together. Bitcoin is this super decentralized, immutable, secure settlement layer or data storage layer, and ICP is this fast, nimble, easy UX kind of blockchain. So I think, yeah, the bread and butter of crypto, exactly. So, okay, let me come back. Where did we get at with our? Do we get poll results in here? Do I have to actually vote before I can see the poll results? Ah, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So it's almost split 50-50. This is perfect. Let's see. Okay, any questions I should dive into right now after the Bitcoin deep dive? Okay, I do see one question. How to integrate all those coins. Oh yeah, I was going to mention this. Let me stop sharing for a second. So I saw someone mention this earlier. The Bitcoin integration is powered by the ECDSA threshold signing protocol. I guess I'll call it a protocol. Basically, it means that any chain that supports ECDSA can also be bridged over to ICP. And there's a really great site that I always share. Let me drop this in the chat for you. This is essentially takes all of the chains down the left-hand side. Let me share my screen again and I can pull this up. And you can see the symbol for the chain and you can see what signing algorithm they use. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, both of these are powered by the threshold ECDSA subnet, TECDSA. But you can also see that Polkadot uses ECDSA, so we could bridge Polkadot. XRP uses ECDSA, so we could bring over XRP. Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Binance, BNB, BSV, EOS, Tron. You can see Cosmos. There are a lot of ECDSA chains, and just leveraging Dogecoin, just leveraging the ECDSA, the threshold ECDSA implementation on ICP already, you can already start to bridge over all of these coins. You don't need to wait for some kind of official integration. You might have to use HTTP out calls if you want to grab state for some of these blockchains, but there are a lot of opportunities here for anyone to come in and say, I want to do something on Avalanche and bring it to ICP, or maybe you've done stuff on Ethereum Classic, or Hedera or somewhere else. Near, you could bring all of these over. There are tons and tons and tons of ECDSA chains. You'll notice some chains like, I know Solana is over here somewhere, is an EDDSA chain. EDDSA is something that we can't support on ICP yet. We would have to build a threshold EDDSA. You can see Solana here. Solana's EDDSA. So can't do Solana in the same way that we could do all of these other chains. Oh yeah, really, really interesting to kind of bridge, yes, essentially any ECDSA chain in some way to Bitcoin or to ICP. That was related to the question how to integrate, coins like BTC ETH, CKBTC in a single platform. CK ETH and CKBTC leverage the same fungible token standard. It's the ICRC2. So it's really easy to just, essentially support the ICRC token standard, and you can bring in the CK-ETH and CK-BTC natively, which is really nice. But you could also bring in those other tokens. Okay, any other questions? I need to miss anything in the chat as I was going?
I think in the chat there is, I don't know if you've had a look at the questions tab. I think a lot of questions will potentially come in there as well throughout. And then I think Moritz is doing a really good job at moderating the chat as well. So I think you're all good for now.
Yeah, perfect. Was curious if I can build dApps related to VR, XR, and ICP. Yeah, there are people already doing this. You can have 3D models and you can actually view them in the browser. You can play with them. You can do different things. I think Unfold VR is one that you should check out. Also probably worth checking out the Motoko Mex NFT collection, where it's not really VR, but it is a nice 3D viewer of an NFT asset, which is interesting. Okay, let me dive into a few of the interesting things you could build for Ethereum on ICP. The Ethereum integration is pretty new, but we're already, there are lots of interesting ways. I would call these, so there are ways you could just take CK-ETH and you could build something like, pay people with CK-ETH, or do, staking for CK-ETH, or like leverage CK-ETH in some way. I would call that like a level 1 solution. There are like level 2 solutions, which are like fundamentally, I don't know, more advanced. These are like what Moritz was saying, like leveraging the integration in its best possible form. Some of the ways that I think ICP can directly improve on Ethereum is, if you think about layer 2s on Ethereum, I don't know if you've ever been to L2 Beat. L2 Beat is probably the world's greatest place to view the layer 2s on Ethereum. And you can see, Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK Sync. Let me share really quick one more time. I know I'm jumping between sharing and not sharing. Okay, this is L2 Beat. It gives you TVL across all layer 2s on Ethereum, which is interesting. You can see it's, up quite a bit in the last couple months. You can also see all of the top layer 2s on Ethereum, and you can see market share. You can see total value locked in each of them. You can see whether they're general purpose, which is universal, or application specific. You can see what stage they are, and these stages have definitions. You can see whether they're optimistic rollups or whether they're ZK rollups, and then you get their risk profile. L2 Beat is research driven. They have references for everything. It's absolutely fantastic. You can scroll down and see, your risk assumptions with every chain. So notice how there are still a lot of red triangles. We're still early in the L2 space. But one interesting path forward is, because we have an Ethereum integration, you should be able to also interact in interesting ways with Ethereum L2s. One interesting way that the ICP specifically could make rollups better on Ethereum is with a decentralized sequencer. This is a problem that lots of people are trying to solve right now. Essentially, all of these chains right now have a single sequencer. If you're familiar with the rollup model, there's a sequencer that basically accepts all the transactions and then orders them, and then it sends it to a prover. The prover says, yeah, this all looks great. Let's generate a proof, and then let's store all of that on the L1. So from an Ethereum perspective, centralized sequencers are undesirable because people can censor your transactions. The centralized sequencer could say, no, I don't want to include these 10 transactions, and it could not include them in the block. A decentralized sequencer mitigates this, and ICP with its replicated compute within a subnet is like the one example of how you could build a decentralized sequencer for an Ethereum rollup. No one's really done this yet. You have to have a lot of ZK experience, a lot of Ethereum experience, and a lot of ICP experience to be able to pull something like this off. But building a decentralized sequencer is one really interesting way. This is like an advanced way to leverage the Ethereum integration, but could be a really fun way for someone to prove that you can use a replicated compute environment like an ICP subnet in order to improve ZK rollups on Ethereum. Another really interesting part or place where ICP could plug into the Ethereum L2 space is via data storage. So if you're familiar with what's going on in ETH land right now, they're working on EIP 4844, which is proto-dank sharding. If you don't know what that is, proto-dank sharding means that there's going to be temporary blob space. So you're not going to store data in like a smart contract. You're not going to store it in like call data. Instead, you're going to store it in this temporary blob space, and it'll be much cheaper. So you can take all of your rollup data, throw it in this temporary blob space. Everyone will index it and validate it and make sure it's good, and then it'll go away in 3 months or 6 months or something. So the benefit is you have much cheaper storage, which will give you much more cost-efficient rollups, cheaper transactions on your rollup, greater throughput, etc. Even further, you could do something like a Validium. And if you don't know what a Validium is, it's basically, there are a few Validiums in here if you look under the type on LPB. But a Validium uses off-chain storage, and then you post a proof on-chain that you've essentially stored that data somewhere else. A Validium gives you even more scale, and I think that a lot of rollups will trend in this direction. Well, because ICP has really great on-chain storage. If you didn't see the announcement, 400 gigabytes within a canister. So because you have really great storage on ICP, you could be a Validium data storage layer for an Ethereum rollup. So instead of using something like Celestia is interesting as a data availability layer. You could theoretically use ICP as well. There are going to be trade-offs there in terms of how the platforms are built. But those are two kind of more advanced ways for how we could leverage ICP to directly improve what people are trying to do with L2s on Ethereum. Okay, that was my Ethereum spiel. We've done the Bitcoin spiel and the Ethereum spiel. Let me check back in on everyone. How's everyone doing? Do we have any questions? We want to dive deeper on anything?
There was one new question just now in the questions tab. Oliver would like to dive deeper into ordinals and use cases.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, ordinals are very much like NFTs. So anything that you can do on Ethereum with NFTs, you could do with ordinals on Bitcoin. Specifically, there's this new kind of, it's not new, but it's been popularized by the ordinal space. It's called a meta protocol. A meta protocol on Bitcoin means you use the layer 1 as a data availability layer, but you offload all of the compute and all of the state verification to an off-chain indexer. So this is how ordinals works. Ordinals stores all of the data directly on chain on Bitcoin. And then there's an off-chain indexer that runs and parses all the messages that have been stored on chain, and then essentially has a set of rules associated with the meta protocol. And then it determines, okay, so you own, XYZ and someone else owns something else, and it keeps the ledger. So you don't have an on-chain ledger, you have an off-chain ledger. So meta protocols do have this aspect of centralization where you now have data is on chain, but the ledger is off chain. And so there's an aspect of centralization there. So one interesting idea, this is like a ICP Bitcoin idea, is you could build a decentralized ordinals indexer on ICP. Again, this is like one of the hard mode things that you could do. But it would be really interesting because then you have an open source set of code that's deployed to a canister. You can verify the code that's running in the canister, and you can't change it. You can make it DAO governed, and now you have a really reliable, robust way to kind of upgrade these centralized meta protocols. Everything basically in the ordinal space is a meta protocol. Ordinals is a meta protocol. BRC20 is a meta protocol. Even things like Counterparty or Stamps or SRC20 or they're basically all meta protocols. The advantage of meta protocols is you can do all kinds of crazy stuff because your compute is off chain. It's basically like building smart contracts on the side. The Downside is you do have more centralization. So we haven't built any of these decentralized indexers on ICP yet. There have been some people interested in doing something like this, but it hasn't been built quite yet. So that's one other interesting way where you could kind of combine ICP and Bitcoin. Another way that I think is probably worth mentioning is DeFi. I want to talk a little bit about DeFi. If you have been building on ICP for a while, you'll know that ICP is an asynchronous blockchain. An asynchronous blockchain means that you have different subnets, which are essentially separate blockchains that then you can, communicate between your subnets. With ICP being asynchronous, canisters process transactions, but it's not a synchronous environment. What I mean is on Ethereum or Solana, you can do things like flash loans. A flash loan is where you might stack up a series of 4 or 5 transactions all within the same block, and they're atomic, meaning if any one of them fails, then they all fail. And this is really nice for DeFi because you could take a flash loan and you could deposit liquidity in a certain place or do a swap to another token and then swap out somewhere else and then go back to ETH and then pay off your loan and take the spread essentially. This is a lot harder to do on ICP because ICP is asynchronous. And so there are a couple of competing solutions right now for how to do DeFi well on ICP. One example is what Bitfinity is doing. Bitfinity has taken an EVM, so the Ethereum virtual machine, and they've put it in a canister, a single canister, which initially could be thought as kind of limiting, but with the recent upgrade to storage, I think it's something like, 17 million Ethereum smart contracts within a single canister. So there's plenty of opportunity there. Bitfinity is interesting because you're deploying an EVM in a single canister. Everything is now synchronous. You have a single canister environment and you have an EVM. So you could take any of the existing Ethereum tooling, bring it over directly into this EVM on the canister and do interesting token, token swaps, DEXs, order books, whatever you want to do. And you could enable all of the DeFi possibilities from a synchronous blockchain like Ethereum or Solana, except you could do it on ICP, leveraging Bitfinity. So that's one interesting place to do DeFi. I think they're still in testnet. I don't know how much longer they're in testnet. And so that's one interesting place. You can also bridge. You can leverage the CK-ETH integration. You can leverage CK-BTC, and you can bridge those directly into the EVM as well. So anything that you bridge, you could even bridge like the BRC20 tokens, like I was talking about. Take BRC20, bridge them over to an ICRC token, and bridge that then into the Bitfinity EVM. So that's one interesting place where you might be interested in doing DeFi. Another kind of the converse or the other alternative, other than doing like the synchronous approach, is just reimagine DeFi on ICP, leveraging the asynchronous model rather than trying to go to the synchronous model. So this might be something like a smart contract wallet. A smart contract wallet is a canister that holds all of your tokens, and you're essentially permissioned with an address. It's not an address that you have the private key for. It's an address that you have a private key that can access a particular address provisioned to you from a canister. So leveraging some kind of smart contract model, you could do something like what you can do on Ethereum, where you can like stack up multiple transactions. As long as all of the DeFi plugins essentially go into that smart contract wallet, you can now stack authorizations. Imagine some kind of authorization model with your smart contract wallet. And you could say, okay, there's this lending protocol, and so I want to take some kind of loan. That's my first authorization. Then I want to go and I want to exploit this, discrepancy or this spread on this token swap. And then I want to pay back my loan. And all of those authorizations would essentially be authorizations that you could stack up that you could then essentially make atomic and then submit those transactions all together. So that's kind of like a reimagining DeFi, leveraging the asynchronous nature of ICP rather than trying to build within a single canister model, like what the Bitfinity EVM is doing. So that's a little bit on the DeFi side. Pretty interesting right now. We're starting to see some increases in TVL on ICP. Toniq has had some pretty good traction recently. Bitcoin DeFi is starting to be a thing. But like I said, the user experience is really bad. And so being able to capitalize on this, whether it's, the Bitfinity EVM or whether it's some kind of asynchronous reimagination of DeFi using maybe like a smart contract wallet, I think there are interesting ways to do DeFi on ICP now that we have good token standards, now that we have some TVL, now that we have some of these Ethereum and Bitcoin integrations, it just feels like kind of the right time. So I'm hoping we get some really interesting cross-chain DeFi solutions from this round of the hackathon. I think it's not exclusively. I mean, there's tons of other opportunities, but definitely something that's interesting right now. Let me just answer Artem's question on IC storage. So in terms of storage, you do get 400 gigabytes in a single smart contract, in a single canister. You do only have, I think right now it's 4 gigabytes of heap. That means like in memory, you can only have up to 4 gigabytes. So if you're doing something like, I don't know, I've been talking with a few devs who are deploying LLMs directly to a canister. And that means you have to have all of the weights in memory. So you have to have a small model that fits within the 4 gigabytes because you don't have more than 4 gigabytes of like usable RAM, essentially. It's heap. If you can do something in like do something and then save it. If you can like iterate through, then you can do more. But if it all has to be in memory, then you're limited to the 4 gigabytes. I think that can be increased over time. I know they've talked about moving it to 8 gigabytes or maybe even higher. And then, your stable storage, which is essentially just canister memory you can directly call on, is the 400 gigabytes. So that's the storage.
Let's see. I think there was maybe a question that I could potentially help answer. Let me see. When building a hackathon solution, are we constrained to building a world-class solution, or can someone build something that serves their own country or continent? Of course, you can build whatever you want, basically. You do not have to, solve world problems. It can be something small. It can be something simple. It could be something that you think is super necessary for your, personal context. And that would be super interesting to see. So feel free to kind of explore all the options. And yeah, feel free to let me know what you're thinking about building, and we can chat more about it.
Yeah, let me comment just really quick on the threshold Schnorr and threshold ED DSA. I think Dfinity is actively looking for feedback right now on what is going to be the highest priority thing that they can build. I think threshold ED DSA is interesting because Solana has had a resurgence over the last year or so. I think it's also interesting because there are a couple other chains that leverage ED DSA exclusively. And then Schnorr is also interesting, threshold Schnorr, because of its Bitcoin implications. In order to inscribe an ordinal from a canister, you have to have a threshold Schnorr setup. You have to be able to do a Schnorr signature, and you currently can't do that. There are ways to get around it. Like right now, we do allow people to inscribe on Bionic, and there's a way to get around having to do it from a canister, but then you end up with kind of a centralized server setup where you have some kind of inscription server, and after it's inscribed, then on the tail end, you then verify that what was inscribed was what was supposed to be inscribed. So it's essentially like the user can go off and do it, and then we verify. So there are ways to get around it, even for like a BRC20 bridge, or there's a TAP token protocol bridge. And you can do all of that without Schnorr. It's just easier with Schnorr. And so I know that Dfinity is looking at what it would take to do a threshold Schnorr implementation. It's actually a little bit ironic because the threshold Schnorr implementation is going to be simpler than the threshold ECDSA implementation, which already exists. ECDSA signatures are basically just like convoluted, abstracted, obfuscated Schnorr signatures. So, rip out all the complexity and you basically have a threshold Schnorr implementation. So I don't think it's crazy to think, I don't know, maybe 6 months, maybe 9 months until we have some kind of threshold Schnorr that's like super loosey-goosey, like multiply it by 3 or something, and then, maybe you have higher guarantees. But yeah, so that's a bit on the other threshold signing protocols. Okay, I've gone super deep here on quite a few things. What would be helpful at this point? Do you want to dig into Bitcoin stuff? Do you want to talk about Bitcoin DeFi? Do you want to talk about meta protocols on Bitcoin? Do you want to talk about Ethereum L2s? Like what's, I don't know how many people we have here in the audience, but if you have a question, if you have something that you want to cover, drop it in the chat or put a question up, and I'm happy to answer it.
I saw that there was a question about grant programs from the ICP, which I think that you, Bob, or Moritz will be more able to answer.
Yeah, Moritz, you can take it if you want it, or I can talk about my experience, whatever.
Yeah, so we do have a grants program, a developer grants program that has a 200 million Swiss francs fund. Let me quickly send you the link, definity.org/grants. And you mentioned community grants as well. We also have community grants, but those are not for developers. Those are more for community organizers to bootstrap a community locally, maybe host an event and things like that. So they are handled by different teams. So my team, the growth team, handles the developer grants, and I don't even know what team owns the community grants, but it's not us. But let me still also send you the link to that real quick. But yeah, grants come in different sizes. So for starters, we have 5K grants. Then for teams or for projects that already completed a 5K grant, we have 25K grants. And then we also have 100K grants for projects that are basically just one step away from maybe launching their final product, or they already secured a seed round, but they need that last push to, I don't know, make an SNS decentralization sale or something like that. So yeah, those are the different grant sizes, and this is the link for the community grants. You can apply there as well. And I think we had someone trying to use Gitcoin grants for a couple of bounties in the past, but I don't know how successful that was, to be honest. Maybe Bob knows more there.
Yeah, not much more than you. I know it was mediocre. I think was initially my perception.
Yeah, same. But yeah,
okay.
I encourage everyone to apply for a grant, definitely, after the hackathon. If you feel like you have a good idea, even if you didn't win the hackathon, I still encourage you to apply for a grant. The worst that can happen is that you get declined, but then you can try again until things work out. And we are, of course, also helping projects to kind of like find the right track or the right idea that's worth pursuing throughout the grant. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah, I do see another couple questions. One is, what are the other project ideas you think are cool other than BTC and ETH integration? One interesting idea is building like a staking game. If you're familiar in the NFT space, you essentially have some NFT. You can stake that NFT and you get some kind of token. And then with that token, you can do other things like go and buy another NFT, or you can use that token to kind of upgrade your existing NFT. Or maybe you burn the token in order to level up your existing NFT. Like there are lots of staking games if you're familiar with like the Wolf game that was really popular on Ethereum, or there were things like I know Pixel Vault. This is another Ethereum NFT collection. Pixel Vault has released some interesting ideas in this realm, or like even if you go as far back as like Ether Orcs. Ether Orcs was like the first fully one of the first fully on-chain NFTs you would bridge to Polygon to do game type stuff. I think there's a lot of opportunity there, incorporating these CK tokens, CKBTC, CKETH, maybe even native tokens. Take an ERC20 or take an inscription token, or there's a thing called ETH-scriptions. People are doing inscription tokens on Ethereum. That's been getting some traction. That's interesting. Or take some Bitcoin DeFi protocol and bridge that to ICP. There are lots of interesting ways to spin together NFTs and DeFi in the context of a specific project that's just like really fun to go in, fun to play, fun to interact. So that's one interesting idea. There's tons of ideas. I do see another question about TensorFlow and ML. There are lots of hurdles currently to doing machine learning on ICP. You have instruction size limits. You have heap memory limits. You have some limitations in terms of, a lot of infrastructure has been written in Python on the machine learning side. Porting that over to ICP is possible leveraging Kybra. Kybra is the Python SDK that's, or I guess I'll call it a CDK, a canister development kit being built by Demergent Labs. But it has most of the standard library, but most machine learning libraries end up using like C-level dependencies. And so you can't actually pull those in yet directly into Kybra. So some limitations still on getting, like a nice ML stack on ICP, but people are working on it. And that's definitely a high value area where if you are familiar with low level programming, you could come in and you could make some really impactful contributions to that space. I am working with a few people who are doing LLMs natively in a canister. They're not able to do like the 7 billion parameter models yet. I think those are just a little bit too big. But some of the smaller models, you can directly deploy them to a canister. And then you can do really interesting things regarding like NFTs or other kinds of querying because you have an LLM entirely in a canister. I think one dev I know is building the C++ canister development kit and has done a lot of work to bring over some of the Llama models, in C++ directly over to ICP. So I think there's a lot of interesting intersections here between like fair, transparent, decentralized AI, kind of combined with, ICP and AI. I think there are interesting ways to do that that people are starting to play around with. Yeah, so just like was said in the chat, C-based libraries aren't supported, so not for now, at least. Yeah, and the ICPP world is a great link there that Moritz just posted. That's the C++ LLM on ICP, which is really fun. All right, I think we're coming to the end here. Let me just check the questions tab. Okay, let me tackle the BTC integration one really quick. The BTC integration, I would say there are probably 3 components. One is the threshold ECDSA. That means you can sign Bitcoin transactions like native L1 Bitcoin transactions from a canister. So you can write directly to Bitcoin from a canister. It also means canisters can hold Bitcoin. You can have a Bitcoin address that's owned by a canister. You can also read directly from Bitcoin. Because of the Bitcoin integration, there's a canister that you can call and you can get the UTXOs for an address, or you can get the balance of an address. So you can read from Bitcoin, you can write to Bitcoin. And then there's also the CKBTC integration. So there's the wrapped Bitcoin. So you can take Bitcoin and you can wrap it over to CKBTC and then use it on ICP. And then we've also built a ordinals wrapper. So I'll call this CK ordinals. You can take ordinals, you can wrap them over to ICP and then use them essentially as an NFT on the ICP side. So that's essentially the Bitcoin integration. Those are kind of the 3 main pillars of the Bitcoin integration, and enables you to basically do whatever you want. And you can build exclusively at the application layer. You don't have to touch the consensus layer at all, which means you can move relatively quickly in terms of building some of these solutions, leveraging the really great protocol primitives. Let's see, would it be possible to build tokenizers, parsers, and compilers using Motoko? tokenizers, are you talking about like NLP, like natural language processing kinds of things? Or is this, I don't know exactly what you're referring to there with that question. Okay, let me just get everyone more info. If anyone's interested in Bitcoin and ICP especially, but even on the like ETH L2 side and bringing things over to ICP, I'm happy to help if people are interested. I'm just Bob Bodily on Twitter. You're welcome to DM me if you have questions, if you're interested in doing something related to Bitcoin DeFi on ICP. Basically anything, you know, at the intersection of Bitcoin and ICP, I think is directly relevant to me right now. And then Ethereum also as well, but you know, a little bit more tangential. But I'm still willing to help if there are people trying to kind of build awesome cross-chain apps on ICP. So feel free to reach out if you have questions. I'm pretty responsive on Twitter for the most part. Yeah, any other like final comments? Oh, we do have a final question. Tokenization of real-world assets on ICP. The best example of the tokenization of real-world assets is what Eomji is doing in coordination with the Gold DAO, I believe. And I think, what's the group? The Boschler group, I think. Essentially, they have a group that is escrowing gold, and then they've tokenized that gold on ICP. So they have a way that you can just go and buy a digital version of gold directly on the marketplace. The tricky part about tokenizing real world assets is you need someone in the real world, a physical place that can securely escrow those assets. And in this case, I think it's the Boschler group, or they have some group that's escrowing the actual gold, and because of that, they can then tokenize directly on the blockchain. So I think there are lots of opportunities on ICP to tokenize real world assets. I know I've seen some marketplaces on other chains, maybe with Solana or Ethereum, starting to have a pretty good supply of Pokemon cards, which is fun. You know, you have real world shops or game stores or other places that are essentially escrowing these assets and then allow you to tokenize on the blockchain. So I think real world assets is interesting and definitely possible on ICP.
Cool. I think that might be everything. And yeah, really lots of questions coming through. So thank you, Bob, for answering everything. And thank you, Moritz, for helping out in the chat. Very helpful. I think there are some final questions coming through just now. If you have time, Bob, to answer those really, really quickly. And then we're going to round up, I think.
Yeah, okay. Let's see, BTC has max size for each transaction. It seems 2 megabytes. So yeah, Bitcoin block size is 4 megabytes, can't be bigger than 4 megabytes, but there's actually a 400 kilobyte mempool limit. So mempools don't propagate transactions larger than 400 kilobytes. So that's essentially your max size for each transaction on Bitcoin is 400 kilobytes, unless you work directly with the miner and they can, you know, sneak you in up to 4 megabytes. In terms of limits for transaction data in ICP, you do have some limits, like your update calls, for example. I think the limit is 2 megabytes. It may have been increased to 3. I know your responses. I just got an error that the response had to be less than 3 megabytes, and I thought it was always 2 megabytes, so that was a little confusing. But I think cross canister calls is maybe 10 megabytes, question mark there. So there are limits to single message, but I think you can just chunk upload. Like if you want to do a bigger asset, you can just chunk upload your asset. It doesn't have to be all in one message. So while there are limits for transaction data in ICP, it doesn't really limit you. You can do whatever you want. If you want to upload, like people have uploaded hundreds of gigabytes of assets, whether they're videos or 3D models. There's just all kinds of crazy stuff you can do on ICP because you can just store so much data. Okay, one other question on the asynchronous property that leads to reimagined DeFi. I don't know that anyone is really doing this yet. We've seen synchronous DeFi on Solana and Ethereum, and we've seen how that works. In terms of asynchronous blockchains, the benefit of an asynchronous blockchain like ICP is you can just horizontally scale forever. You just add new subnets, add new nodes, and you just keep going, and you don't have a theoretical limit on scalability. For Ethereum and Solana, you essentially have like a cap. Like Solana is taking a single machine and pushing it to its maximum limits. And so DeFi is just completely different. I don't know that we've seen someone really take advantage of ICP and build a cool asynchronous DeFi application. I think it's a ripe time for someone to come in and reimagine DeFi in an asynchronous way on ICP, I think, in a way that's still fast and interesting and composable and works across canister, across subnet, in a way that is nice user experience. I think it's a challenge, but I think it's an interesting idea.
Cool. Thank you. I see that there are more comments coming in. I think we're going to have to wrap it up now. I don't want to take any more of your guys' time. So excited to see so many questions come through. And if you guys have any follow-up questions at all, feel free to pop them in the Discord's channel, and we'll make sure that they get answered. Thank you so much to both Moritz and Bob for joining us today. And thank you for everyone who's been watching. It's been quite a while now that you've stuck with us, so thank you so much for that. I'm really excited for this hackathon, everyone, and it's going to be a great one. So that's it from me. Have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, wherever you are, and I will see you all soon. Bye, guys.